Red Zone, Book 1, Wipeout Squad Audiobook Series. Chapter 18, Air Raid and the Call of the Hive. The landing pad had become a killing field. Steele's empty carbine served as a club, smashing into a crawler's skull with force amplified by his mutation-enhanced strength. Black ichor sprayed across his cracked faceplate as the creature fell, but three more surged forward to take its place. "Wolf!" Steele roared over the chaos. "Time!" 15 minutes! The scientist's voice was tight with concentration. Behind the makeshift barricade of sandbags, Wolf worked frantically over his portable lab setup, mixing compounds, monitoring reactions, synthesizing humanity's last hope one molecule at a time. The chemical bonds need to stabilize, or the suppressors will be useless. Steele's HUD flickered, hour 22:03, then jumped, hour 22:09. His enhanced perception was fragmenting under the strain of infection and combat, showing him futures that might not happen, pasts that never were. Beside him, Hammer's sledgehammer sang through the air with rhythmic precision. Each swing was perfection, trajectory calculated to conserve energy while maximizing damage. But Steele could hear the wrongness in his friend's breathing, see the slight hesitation in movements that should have been automatic. "Hammer, status," Steele demanded, crushing another crawler's thorax with his carbine stock. "Functioning," Hammer replied, but his voice carried harmonics that weren't human anymore. The regenerator had saved his life, but pushed him past the point of no return. "Boss, I'm seeing patterns in their movements, like I can predict where they'll strike before they do." "That's the mutation," Steele said grimly. "Your brain's processing faster than conscious thought. Use it." A leaper dropped from the perimeter wall, hooks extended for Steele's exposed neck. His enhanced perception drew the trajectory in slow-motion clarity, saw where it would land, calculated the counter, executed the move before his conscious mind registered the threat. His armored fist caught the creature mid-air, crushed its skull, threw the corpse at two approaching whisperers. "Contact right," Breach called out, his mutated senses tracking threats through the red fog with disturbing accuracy. The demolitions expert had positioned himself at the barricade's edge, his wounded shoulder now functional despite the viral transformation spreading through the tissue. Broodmother's coordinating a flanking maneuver, three crawlers coming through the collapsed bunker. Steele's tactical overlay confirmed it. The creatures were learning, adapting, using terrain to their advantage. The broodmother orchestrating this assault might be younger than the one they'd killed in the metro, but she was every bit as intelligent. "Deadeye," Steele shouted to his sniper on the Overwatch platform. "Suppress that flank. Don't let them—" The sky tore open with sound. Steele's enhanced hearing picked it up first, a shriek like tearing metal, amplified through organic vocal cords that had never been designed for atmospheric flight. His HUD tried to track the source, but the targets were moving too fast, weaving through the red fog with predatory precision. "Deathwings," Deadeye's voice carried warning and awe in equal measure. "Multiple contacts. 4, no, 6 of them. They're diving on the landing pad." Steele looked up and saw death descending. The Deathwings were nightmares given flesh, 4-meter wingspans of stretched membrane, bodies covered in bone spurs that gleamed like polished knives, and faces that were too human, too aware. They moved with coordinated precision that spoke of hive mind intelligence, each one adjusting its flight path to account for the other's positions. "Defensive formation!" Steele grabbed Wolf and dragged him toward the command bunker. "Everyone inside, now!" The first Deathwing struck like a missile. Its bone spurs raked across the landing pad's ferrocrete, carving trenches a meter deep. Where it passed, crawlers exploded into fragments. The creature wasn't discriminating between prey, it was clearing the field for its packmates. Hammer stood his ground, sledgehammer raised. "I got this, boss. Get Wolf to safety." Negative, you're coming with. The second Deathwing hit Hammer from behind. Its talons caught his armor's shoulder guards, trying to lift the massive soldier into the air. For a moment, Hammer left the ground. 300 kilograms of armor and muscle, elevated by pure psionic-enhanced flight capability. Then Hammer's mutation-enhanced strength kicked in. He twisted in the creature's grip, brought his sledgehammer around in an impossible arc, and connected with the Deathwing's skull. The impact shattered bone, pulped brain matter, sent the creature tumbling from the sky. "Okay," Hammer gasped as he crashed back to the landing pad. "Maybe I don't got this." "Bunker! Everyone, bunker!" Steel was already moving, half carrying Wolf while his enhanced perception tracking the remaining Deathwing's flight paths. Breach was right behind them, his mutated senses allowing him to dodge 2 bone spur strikes that would have decapitated a normal human. Stitch emerged from the command bunker, his sidearm barking as he providing covering fire. "There are survivors inside, cleanup soldiers from previous evac attempts. They're infected, but still human." "How many?" Steel demanded, diving through the bunker entrance as a Deathwing's claws scraped across his back armor. 12, maybe 15. They're barely holding together." Stitch slammed the reinforced door behind them, engaging the magnetic locks. Outside, something massive impacted the door with enough force to dent the metal inward. The bunker's interior was a vision of desperation. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on faces that were too pale, eyes that reflect light wrong. The survivors wore cleanup armor like Steel's team, but their suits were torn, patched with biological sealant that looked suspiciously viral. Some sat against walls with weapons in shaking hands. Others simply stared at nothing, their expressions blank. "Who's in command here?" Steel demanded, his voice cutting through the stunned silence. A woman pushed herself up, her armor bearing sergeant stripes that matched Steel's own. Her face was gaunt behind her cracked faceplate, and when she spoke, Steel heard the same harmonic undertones that infected Hammer's voice. "Sergeant Chen, Gamma Squad," she said. "We've been holding this bunker for... How long has it been? The timestamps don't work anymore. Could be hours, could be days." "The infection," Wolf breathed, his scanner painting readings across the survivors. "They're all infected, late stage, but the suppressors are still working, barely." "We heard the evac birds were coming," Chen continued, her eyes tracking Steel with disturbing focus. "Command said 24 hours. We've been waiting. But they're not here yet, are they? The birds. They're not coming." "They're coming," Steel said with more confidence than he felt. His HUD showed hour 22:17. "Any minute now, we just need to hold." His radio crackled to life. "All cleanup units, this is Overwatch. Be advised, evac birds are inbound to your position. ETA 6 minutes. Prepare for dust-off." Relief flooded through the bunker. Survivors who'd been sitting up, faces that had been blank, showed sudden animation. Chen gripped her weapon with renewed purpose. "See?" Steel forced a smile despite his cracked faceplate. 6 minutes. We hold for 6 minutes, and we're gone." Then Deadeye's voice cut through the brief moment of hope. "Boss, we've got a problem. The Deathwings aren't attacking the bunker. They're circling. Like they're waiting for something." Steel's enhanced perception drew probability lines, and what he saw made his blood run cold. They're waiting for the evac birds. "The Horde drove us into the bunker. The Deathwings are holding position to intercept our extraction. This whole thing, the assault, the timing, it's coordinated to destroy our ride out." "Can the birds fight them off?" Hammer asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Negative," Breach replied, his mutated senses processing tactical scenarios faster than the equipment could calculate. "Evac birds are transports, not gunships. Light armor, minimal weapons. 6 Deathwings will tear them apart in seconds." "Then we warn them off," Stitch said, moving toward the radio console. Tell them to abort. Come back with heavy support. And how long will that take? Chen's voice was flat. Hours? Days? Our suppressors don't have hours. We're running on borrowed time and empty magazines. Steele checked his own chronometer. Hour 22:19. His original suppressor had perhaps 30 minutes remaining. Wolf's second dose was still being synthesized. And, judging by the tremor in his hands, by the way his enhanced perception was showing him things that weren't there, he was transforming faster than anyone else. "Boss," Wolf said quietly, pulling Steele aside. "The suppressors, they're ready, but we need to inject now. Your infection rate is critical." Steele looked down at the case Wolf had prepared. 5 auto-injectors, each one filled with luminescent blue liquid. The second dose, the one that would buy them 12 more hours at the cost of accelerating their mutations even further. "Everyone, sound off for injection," Steele ordered. "We do this simultaneously, no delays." But before anyone could respond, the radio screamed to life. "All cleanup units, this is Raven 7 Actual. We are taking fire. I repeat, we are taking—" Jesus Christ, what are those things? Through the bunker's reinforced walls, Steele heard it. The scream of engines under stress, the crack of weapons fire, and beneath it all, the shriek of Deathwings executing their attack with surgical precision. "Raven 7, break off!" Steele shouted into the comms. "Abort landing! Abort! You're flying into an ambush!" "Too late!" The pilot's voice was edged with panic. "They're on us! They're—" Static. Then nothing. "Raven 7, respond!" Steele tried again. But his enhanced hearing had already picked up the sound he dreaded. The crash of a transport hitting the ground hard, followed by the hiss of fuel igniting. "The birds are down," Deadeye confirmed from his position near a firing slit. "I see one transport on the landing pad, burning. The other one made it past the perimeter, crashed maybe 200 meters out. I'm seeing movement from the wreckage. Survivors." "How many?" Steele demanded. "Can't tell. But boss, the Deathwings are circling the crash site, and the ground forces are moving toward it. If there are survivors, they've got minutes before—" "We go," Steele interrupted. "Hammer, breach, with me. Stitch, you stay with Wolf and protect the bunker. Chen, your people provide covering fire from the bunker positions." "Boss, your suppressor," Wolf started. "Inject me now," Steele ordered. "Give me the strongest concentration. I don't care about side effects." Wolf's hands shook as he adjusted the injector's dosage. "This is experimental. The concentration is 3 times standard. It might kill you. It might accelerate your transformation instead of slowing it. I don't know what." "Do it." The hiss of compressed air, the rush of chemicals flooding Steele's bloodstream. For one terrible moment, nothing happened. Then his entire nervous system lit up with fire. Steele's back arched despite his will to remain still. His HUD exploded with warnings, heart rate at 190 BPM, blood pressure spiking to dangerous levels, cellular activity registering changes that the computer couldn't categorize. His enhanced perception suddenly expanded beyond anything he'd experienced, showing him not just probable futures, but the psionic network itself, a vast web of consciousness that connected every mutant on the planet. And within that web, he felt something looking back at him. "Steele, Sergeant, you feel us now? Good. The transformation opens your mind to the network. Soon, you will understand. Soon, you will join." The voice wasn't external. It was inside his skull, speaking with harmonics that resonated with his own mutated neural tissue. Part of Steele wanted to scream, to reject the intrusion. But another part, a growing, insidious part, wanted to listen. "Boss," Hammer's hands on his shoulders, shaking him. "Boss, snap out of it." "Boss, snap out of it. Your vitals just went crazy." Steele blinked, and his vision cleared. The voice faded to a whisper in the back of his mind, but he could still feel it there, waiting, patient. "I'm functional," Steele managed, though his voice came out wrong, deeper, with undertones that matched Hammer's transformation. "The suppressor is working.
I can feel it fighting the infection." "Your eyes," Stitch said quietly, his medical scanner painting readings that made him pale. "Boss, your eyes are reflecting light differently, like a cat's eyes in darkness. The mutation is accelerating despite the suppressor." "How long?" Steele asked the question they were all thinking. "The second dose bought you maybe 8 hours, maybe less." Stitch's hands trembled as he administered injections to the others. "But boss, the network is in your head now. I can see it on the scanner. Psionic activity spiking every few seconds. You're connected to them, partially." Steele felt it, the constant whisper at the edge of consciousness, promises of power, of belonging, of transcendence beyond the weak flesh of humanity. Part of him was horrified. Part of him was curious. Part of him wanted to surrender. "Give me another dose," Steele said suddenly. "A stronger one. I need—" "No," Stitch's voice was firm. "Boss, I'm your medic, and I'm telling you, any more suppressors and your cellular structure will collapse. You're already at the edge. One more injection might kill you, or it might push you fully into transformation." Steele's hands clenched into fists, fighting the urge to grab the injectors by force. The network's whisper grew louder, more insistent, promising that transformation would end the pain, the struggle, the constant fight against biology itself. "Yes, you feel it now. The peace, the unity. Why fight what you are becoming? Why suffer when you could transform?" "Boss," Hammer's voice, concerned, "you're breathing wrong. Your vitals are spiking. Talk to me." Steele forced himself to breathe normally, to push the voice back into the corner of his mind where it belonged. I'm fighting it. The network. It's in my head, trying to convert me." "The psionic connection," Wolf explained, checking his scanner. "The second dose is stronger, but has side effects. You're not just suppressing the physical transformation, you're partially linked to the network's consciousness. They can speak to you, tempt you, try to convince you to stop fighting." "Can they block it?" Chen asked, her own voice carrying those familiar undertones. "Because if not, if they can just talk their way into our heads?" "We can't block it," Wolf admitted, "but we can fight it. The suppressors give you the mental strength to resist. As long as you stay focused on your humanity, on what you're fighting for, the network can't fully convert you." Steele's HUD showed hour 22:31. "The crash survivors. We're running out of time." "Boss," Breach's mutated senses were tracking something on his scanner. "The runway."
Beneath the ferrocrete. I'm reading massive displacement. Something down there is moving. Something big. Seismic sensors. Chen moved to the bunker's monitoring station. "We've been tracking activity for hours. There's a nest under the landing pad, maybe multiple nests. The network has been building something down there." Steele studied the readouts, his enhanced perception processing the data faster than the computers could display it. The mass beneath the runway wasn't just big, it was coordinated, organized into a structure that suggested intelligence, purpose. "How long until it emerges?" Steele asked. "Unknown," Chen replied. "Could be minutes, could be hours. But boss, when it does, when whatever's down there comes up, this landing pad becomes ground zero for something we've never seen before. Then we move fast," Steele decided. "We rescue the crash survivors, we get back to the bunker, and we hold until command sends heavy support. Chen, your people are with us. Everyone who can still fight, grab weapons and move out." The survivors stirred, pulling themselves upright with visible effort. 12 soldiers. No, 11. One was too far gone, staring at nothing with eyes that had already turned crystalline. Armed with weapons that might or might not have ammunition, protected by armor that was more patch than plate. But they moved, because that's what soldiers did. They moved toward the mission, toward their duty, even when biology itself had turned traitor. Steele led them out of the bunker into a nightmare lit by burning wreckage. The first evac bird was a pyre on the landing pad, flames licking toward a sky choked with red fog. The second bird was visible in the distance, its hull torn open,
survivors crawling from the wreckage. And circling above it all, the death wings waited with patient hunger. Move! Steele broke into a sprint, his mutation-enhanced legs carrying him faster than human agility should allow. Behind him, the combined squads followed. 16 soldiers who were all transforming at different rates, all racing against time and biology. They'd covered half the distance when the ground began to shake. "Seismic event!" Breach shouted, his scanner screaming warnings. "The mass beneath the runway, it's surfacing! 30 seconds until breach!" Steele's enhanced perception drew probability lines, and every single one ended in catastrophe. Whatever was coming up, it was massive enough to collapse the entire landing pad, burying anything on the surface. Faster! Steele pushed his legs beyond safe limits, feeling muscle fibers tear and immediately regenerate with viral efficiency. The crash site was so close. 50 meters, 40, 30. The runway exploded. Ferrocrete shattered like glass as something immense pushed up from below. Steele caught a glimpse of it, a nest structure the size of a building, covered in cocoons and pulsing with biomass, coordinated by dozens of smaller mutants working as construction crew and guardians. And at its center, a broodmother larger than any they'd encountered, her crystalline crown pulsing with power that made Steele's enhanced perception scream with overload. Contact! Steele dove for cover as the broodmother's psionic blast swept across the landing pad. Soldiers fell, not dead, but paralyzed, their weapons clattering to the ground as their muscles locked up. Steele's second-dose suppressor fought against the psionic assault, but he could feel it, the network's vast intelligence pressing against his consciousness, trying to find the cracks, the weaknesses, the part of him that wanted to stop fighting. "You cannot hold forever. We are patient. We are inevitable. And you are already one of us." "Like hell I am," growled, forcing his legs to move despite the psionic pressure. He reached the crash site, found 3 survivors huddled in the wreckage, 2 pilots and a door gunner, all of them wounded, all of them infected. "Can you move?" Steele demanded. "Maybe," the door gunner replied, his voice carrying pain and determination in equal measure. "But boss, we've got a problem. Before we crashed, I saw them. The mutants, they've got hostages." "What?" Steele's enhanced perception focused on what the gunner was pointing at, a section of collapsed perimeter wall, where a group of crawlers had corralled 6 civilians. Not soldiers, actual civilians, wearing the ragged remains of colonist clothing. "Survivors from the initial outbreak," the gunner explained. "The mutants have been keeping them. Not killing them, not transforming them, just keeping them." Steele's tactical mind processed the implications. Hostages. The network is using them as leverage, threatening to kill them if we interfere. Or worse, Wolf's voice came over comms from the bunker. "Based on what I'm seeing on the sensors, those civilians are being used as biological shields. The network positioned them directly between our escape route and the landing pad. We can't extract without going through them." "And if we do?" Steele asked, though he already knew the answer. "The mutants will kill them, probably transform them into whisperers as a demonstration. The network is betting that our humanity will stop us from acting." Steele's HUD flickered. Hour 22:47. Time remaining before complete suppressor failure, approximately 7 hours. Time remaining before the massive nest fully emerge and make the landing pad untenable, minutes. Time remaining before the civilians are killed or transformed, unknown. "Moral choice," Hammer said quietly, reading Steele's expression. "Do we save the hostages and risk the mission, or do we complete the mission and live with what we've done?" Steele's enhanced perception drew probability lines through all possible futures. In most of them, the civilians died. In some of them, the team died trying to save them. In a precious few, everyone survived. But the odds were astronomical, the variables too many to count. And in the back of his mind, the network's voice whispered seductively, "You see now, the burden of command, the weight of impossible choices. Surrender. Join us. Let the hive decide. No more doubt, no more pain. No more watching humans die for causes that are already lost." Part of Steele wanted to listen, wanted to stop fighting, stop choosing, stop carrying the weight of every death on his conscience. But a larger part, the part that Stitch had saved with medical skill, that Hammer had protected with unflinching loyalty, that Breach had supported with explosive expertise, that Deadeye had covered with precise shots, that part was still human enough to care. We save them, Steele decided. The hostages. We don't leave anyone behind. Boss, that's suicide, Chen protested. The network will. I know what they'll do, Steele interrupted, his voice carrying command authority that brook no argument. But we're not them. We don't sacrifice civilians to save our own skins. That's what makes us human. That's what's worth fighting for. His HUD showed hour 23:01. 2 minutes until hour 23. Everyone who can still fight, on me. We go in fast, we extract the hostages, and we damn the consequences. If we die doing it, at least we die as soldiers, as humans, not as monsters. The words hung in the air, challenge and declaration both. Around him, infected soldiers who were becoming something else gripped their weapons with renewed purpose. Because despite the mutations, despite the transformations, despite the network's whisper promising peace through surrender, they were still human enough to choose. And that made all the difference.
Thank you for listening. New chapters will be released daily on the channel. This audio material was produced exclusively for the Section 56 channel. All rights reserved.